Ready for the scary part?
Live.
I mean, something like live. This is almost real.
Yeah, that's true.
What do we say? Who's introing?
I don't
You.
know.
You
Yeah,
are.
that's fine.
You are.
Okay.
I'll put you on the spot.
All right, that's fine. Did you check sound? Are we good?
Yeah.
Well, guys, this is about how it's going to go. Welcome to the Casual Pros podcast. Really, it's an we want to think of something cool and really professional. Really, it's an excuse for one of my absolute best friends in the world and I to get together and hang out and talk about life and share really with the rest of the world our thoughts on how we hurtle around the sun on an everyday basis.
I don't like how real you just got. We were dinking around right
I
before
know.
we started it. You said, okay.
Got to flip it on. Got to turn it
You're
on.
good at pretending that the theoretical people who may or may not be there are there.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Whereas
Yeah,
me,
people
I'm
will just
good
say,
at-
look into the camera, and I'm like, it's just another person. It's just a
No, that's
oddly
true.
shaped. Yeah,
That's true, but I see it and I go, it's whatever.
yeah,
I stay as casual.
it's true. This is gonna be really funny for the people who aren't watching a video, who are just listening. They're like,
that's
what do you mean a camera?
Yeah, what do you mean you looked at it? That's going to be weird addressing two different theoretical folks.
That's
The
true.
ones who are listening and the ones who are watching.
Yeah. Speaking of folks, I'm Jeff Easterling, and I feel like I'm always supposed to say like where I work because that's normally what I'm doing on a stream. But I'm not. I'm just Jeff. That's it.
It's going to make this so much easier.
I know it is just Jeff, no matter what. And I'm joined again by one of my favorite people in the world, Rukari Austin.
That's this voice. It's
this-
weird
it
because we
is.
can't do the visual. I have to say I'm Rukari Austin.
Oh yeah.
Get used to this
Which
sultry,
one's
docile
which?
tone.
I can't
On
tell them
screen,
apart.
we look exactly the same.
That'll be the question: is whether video or audio is harder to tell us apart.
Somebody's gonna be like, these guys are so dumb. That's it. Our podcast
That's
is
true.
over.
That's true. In all honesty, a lot of this came about because we were just kind of trying to figure out a way. You know, we always talk about like we always enjoy the conversations that we have, and so other people seem to also enjoy being part of. I think some of those conversations, and we've been told by countless individuals that like, oh, you guys should do like, oh, I would listen to you guys talk about whatever and.
That's the problem. What
I
is
know.
whatever?
Yeah, because you and I both have been in the gaming industry for several years now, and both in positions to where it's, we do a lot of like, on-camera stuff or media content type things. So it's real easy for us, I feel like, to drop into the mode of we're talking about a specific subject or we are marketing a thing or promoting a thing or whatever.
But that's easy.
Yeah, this is harder because we kind of specifically don't want to do that because we already
that's not
do
the
that.
hard part. It's fun to not talk about Xbox.
Yeah.
To sell it. It's
Yes.
fun to talk about the things
Yes.
that we've been through and whatnot. It's tougher to sell myself.
Oh yeah.
I could go up there.
We could
and
sell
do
each other.
Yes, I could do an episode of Inside Xbox. Easy.
Yes.
E3 stage presentation. Easy.
Yeah.
Give me your elevator pitch about who you are. Have you not seen my work? Yes. And that's not narcissistic.
No.
It's like, I don't know what to say.
I'm really
here.
hoping you have because otherwise I've got nothing.
Blank slate. But I guess that's a good kickoff point for episode 1, which is what do we call this one? From fan to the man?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Is that
Yeah,
a good way
that sounds
to go
good.
about this?
I think it's probably good because I would imagine that at least at first, the 9 people who care anything about what
That's
we're saying
generous.
like right
9.
now.
9,
yeah, I'm
yeah.
hoping. I'm pushing for 9. Will maybe more likely have come from the gaming sphere in some sort of way, whether they're just friends of ours and we met them through gaming, or colleagues, or people who are maybe fans of franchises that we have worked on. Or something like
colleagues.
that.
You're like, oh, you and Jeff are doing what now?
Yeah.
No, the hell you're not. All right. Well, from being a fan to the man, I guess that implies that we were fans. So why don't you
still.
kick us off and tell us your long, arduous path to doing whatever the hell it is you're doing now, since we haven't introed it.
Yeah. So my current job, I'm a writer for 343 Industries for the Halo franchise, and yeah, and I mean, just a real short on that is like our team, kind of oversees and creates and curates canon across the Halo universe. And if you're coming from the non-gaming sphere, Halo's a long-running multimedia sci-fi franchise that a lot of people are into, that we've been into. Actually, we met because of Halo, and so I have the pleasure of working on the franchise now. When you talk about getting into it, like industry wise, man, I was a fan of Halo way before I got into it, but was definitely a fan of games and just playing games far before ever even thinking about even using it as an industry thing. Like I came from, on the professional standpoint, I spent 20 years writing and developing interactive like science education entertainment at a science center in Florida at the Museum of Science and Industry in Tampa. I wrote programs for the Florida Aquarium and for other places as well. And then I spent like 14 years working in motorsports in a variety of different capacities. And then kind of like it was actually my first trip to Seattle. It's the first time we met in person.
Okay, yeah,
it's at Halo Fest 2011. And that was my brother Matt came with me, and I fell in love with the city and really just kind of fell in love with the industry. And I saw it in a new light because at Halo Fest, it was actually at PAX, the Penny Arcade Expo, kind of an annual gaming convention. And there was a 10-year anniversary at the time of Halo.
That was 8 years ago, by the way.
I don't want to talk about it. I know. It's like we're real close to the 20-year. But yeah, so it was a 10-year anniversary, so they had luminaries of the franchise and the platform, because it was also Xbox's 10-year anniversary, and I had always been a fan. And so when you kind of listen to these people on the creative side talk about what they do and how they do it, it was very kind of a light switch moment of like, I had not really thought about the possibility of doing something like this professionally until then. But like literally, I remember like sitting in some of those panels and then kind of flying back and thinking about it and being like, okay, I've decided that I want to see if I can do this now professionally. And at the time, I'd been working at my current job for like a decade and a half. I mean, it was, like actually more than that. And so
you can just
even at a relatively young age,
years.
I was like, well, maybe it's time for like a new cool adventure. Like, how can we do that? And so getting into the particulars of like how that all went is certainly something that we can talk about as well. But I mean, you're, you have a similar unconventional path into the industry. It's one of my favorite things about the gaming industry is that the unconventional way into it is now more and more the conventional way into it.
This is true.
Which is crazy. There's still like those classical methods, to getting you, especially for certain disciplines and specializations, art and programming and engineering, especially. You have kind of like specified schools and programs and stuff like that are, oftentimes still maybe the best way to get into it. But the gaming industry has changed a lot too, and so there's a ton more specializations and things that go into it from making the thing happen. So like, what about from your perspective?
This one's
like,
so tough to explain. Just
yeah,
I realized everything that I knew about gaming beforehand, or at least the people that worked in it, was completely false. I never expected to have the career that I have, and I guess to give people at home, oh God, what was the movie where they start from the guy lost his memory? And he has to piece it together. Do we start at the end and then I go back and go through the little clues? Oh. But no, so the result is right now I'm on-screen talent. I guess that's the easiest way to put where my career is. A for-hire gun who appears on screen.
A media mercenary.
Yes, a media mercenary to talk about gaming. But in the past...
for free.
It's like the Waypoint. It's like we're doing this right now.
It's true.
We're charging for this, by the way.
We're paying to do this.
But in the past 8 years, it revolved around community management and also did a stint with marketing. But beforehand, I was the guy that just loved Halo. I mean, everybody loves games. My mom loves
Mr.
games.
First in line.
God, for some things, for a lot of things.
The luxury of being local, too, which is
Seattle,
nice.
yeah. But, I grew up playing it all. I never thought that being across the water, Seattle being opposite of Redmond and or Bellevue, was a possibility. I had no idea that world existed. And I don't mean the world of gaming. I just thought they were developers. What do developers do? I don't know. They make the games.
Yes.
They're the guys that make the games.
Weird dark magic. Yeah.
Never thought a thing of it. Never considered it. Not once. And I would always show up to events. And yes, I was first in line for a lot of things.
Yeah.
There were some that I wasn't. But you would start to find the same group of people.
Yeah.
Over and over again, right? And
like going to concerts.
And if I
really
talked about my career beforehand that led to my field, it has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
I sold mattresses. I sold cell phones. I played basketball in college. I worked at the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah.
None of the stuff like you wrote.
Yeah.
I guess you could say technically sales, because I do think of community management as sales, even though the sales play is more retention. But it's also word crafting and whatnot.
But so much of that is personality too.
True.
And
so
like
I think
the both of us have
driven.
always been, because even like I like writing, like I wrote the programs, but then half the time I was also the one going out onto the floor and presenting and blowing things up and setting stuff on fire and stuff at a science center. And so there was that element too of the people interaction and stuff like that too, which I think all helped eventually in the industry. What's funny is that's like in front of the camera or not, because those communication skills, like when people ask about like what kind of stuff should I study or what should I think, is like, talented.
I want to tell them my bit.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's unconventional. I was like, hey, you can drop out of school and make
the one
this happen.
commonality I can think of is like communication, is like honing communication skills is important for everybody. It doesn't matter, like, even if you are not in front of the camera, or even if you're not, if like communication and that kind of storytelling aspect is not a part of your job, it's still like you're still working with other people and other teams, and being able to just communicate your own ideas and your own perspectives on things, and being able to kind of have discussions with other really talented professionals.
But understanding that those other really talented professionals are all very different.
Yes.
It's almost a hustle.
Yeah.
And sometimes I call it manipulation, even though I know it's not. But it's knowing how to approach each group, what they want to hear, what their end goal is, and how you can fit into that.
I mean, in some ways, it's like an engineered empathy.
Yes. That's a nice way.
Yeah.
You should write for
I should be a writer.
All right. So tell me about the day you got the call, the day you officially went from fan to the man. Do you remember it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, and it's funny, like my journey up, like until it, I had some folks in the industry that I had become friends with, and that were really great as far as like kind of mentors and giving, advice on things and stuff. People like Jessica Shea, who was at 343, people like Justin Korthoff, who had done a ton of stuff in community management specifically. And I felt like that was probably my best initial in, potentially, because I had become fairly like moderately, at least, well known, like in certain Halo community circles and stuff like that.
Don't sell yourself short, sir.
I'm not getting any taller, but like
this I can see.
Yeah, we start count. Do a little count on the video. But yeah, so like I was runner up for like a few jobs that in my mind I was like, oh, that was my chance to get in. Oh, that was my chance to get in. With companies like 2K and EA, and met amazing people, and it was amazing. It was cool because like the failures, I don't even really think of it as like failures, but like
then you did.
Then yeah, absolutely. But looking back on it now, and I'm like, man, the stuff in those interviews that I knew I nailed was great, and the stuff that I knew I didn't was really great for understanding kind of like what, where the deficiencies were and what I needed to learn and understand. But when I got the call, I was at my apartment in Tampa, Florida. My girlfriend at the time, now wife, she was there, and my sister was there actually. And my dad, I think, was like on his way we were hanging out, like a few of us just like hanging out doing something. And I ended up getting the call, like the offer. And of course they both like cried. And I almost did. Like, and I cry over everything.
You're nodding your head. Yes,
yeah, I cry over more and more now, especially. It was like, it took a little while to feel real. I feel like maybe in some ways too, because it was like such another world away. Like when you talk about like across the lake, you know,
you went
like across Lake Washington, and I am like in Tampa, Florida, and going the opposite corner to the Seattle, Washington area. But yeah, man, I absolutely remember that call. It was ridiculous, and it was kind of like, oh, now what?
yeah, now.
But like in all of the greatest ways too. So it was kind of like, you're like, okay, you're up, you know, like you get the call, now you're in the game. And that's the cool thing is, you know, being able to be given an opportunity to show kind of like what you can do. I always say, like, you know, who you know helps get you in, what you know is what keeps you there.
This is true.
And what you know and what you can do.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, it's the networking and stuff like that is so key to getting a foot in the door, but you got to be able to land.
3 weeks into my job.
What was your first one? What was the first job?
Forum moderator.
Okay.
Well, I'll get to that in just a sec, but
Yeah.
3 weeks into it, touching on your point, David Ellis was talking to me.
Yep.
And he said, best piece of advice I can ever give you is to find ways to be helpful to multiple people.
Yes.
He's like, if you do that, you will always have a job.
Yeah. And proof right now.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
Maybe one or two people too short, but either way. But that was
multiple people, multiple teams.
That's the best advice I ever received. He's saying, I'm not saying that you do work that you're not supposed to, or you're doing their work, but you find ways to be a key asset.
Yeah.
Okay. That's something that stuck with me throughout all the years. But no, forum moderator was my first job, and I remember my call because mine was tricky. I didn't apply for anything ever, really. Again, it was just, what was I doing? I was working at
was it
a mattress company. No, T-Mobile. Okay, T-Mobile was way before. I was working at a mattress company.
Yeah.
My friend owned it. So it was like a group of friends all working there. We had done deliveries before, but I was actually working in stores and helping sell.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really looking for anything in life, nor was anything missing. I was just living. I mean, I was in my early 20s, like having fun with my friends and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And I saw a tweet from Kristen Riley, who is now Kristen Booty, from Batgirl, that said, looking for a forum moderator, no relocation, must be local. And I'm like,
wait,
oh,
I
shit.
can do those things.
Like that, I'm local.
That's a thing?
Yeah, I am local. I've moderated forums. So to rewind a bit, we had just got our forum moderation tools 2 months prior.
Yeah.
Because we were Halo Waypoint community leaders first. And then when we switched over to, was it YAF or GAF?
Yeah, because what's funny is that these stories are intrinsically intertwined with how we met, even in the first place.
Very true.
Like our friendship's path is like inexorably tied to our industry path, but not on purpose.
Not on purpose at all.
Like,
which is why this makes sense.
That's true.
But we had got our forum moderation tools just 2 months prior. I don't know if you remember that, but we got them in September.
Oh, yes.
This is December that the job listing went up.
Yeah.
So I didn't fudge my resume in any way, shape, or form, but I was like, yeah, I'm a forum moderator. I just played it cool. Like, yeah, I do this. Technically, that was not wrong.
Because there was a group of us. It was like, what, a half dozen to a dozen at the time?
16 or so, maybe.
Okay, maybe it was a little bit more at the time, yeah.
Because Sam was in there at the time.
Yeah.
So that lets me know that it was a class after me, at least.
Okay, yeah. I'm thinking like X-Men.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, I saw the tweet. I responded. It was for Age of Empires Online. I did not think about the fact that Age of Empires was a Microsoft-owned property, and so was Halo.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
So Kristen talked to Jess, or Jess talked to Kristen. I don't know if they just saw my tweet exchange.
Yeah.
But I almost didn't apply. Like, I didn't send in my resume for like a day or two, and Kristen said, hey, dude, what the fuck? Where's your resume? Literally, word for word. I'll bleep that out if I need to, but that's what she said. And I ended up sending it to her, and she said, okay. Hooked me up with contracting agency and all that. And I went in for an interview with the agency, or I had a phone screen with them.
Yeah.
Nervous as hell. Nervous as could be. And then I went in for an interview, and I'm sitting there like, I have no idea like what to expect. Oh my God, this is Microsoft. Like, I went to campus and all that.
Yeah.
She sat me down and she goes, why do you want to work for me? Very candid response came out of my mouth. Well, everybody needs a job. So I was like, I know nothing about you other than our Twitter interactions. She goes, okay, great. Here's the role. And I remember being so confused. Like, This is not a question. This is not in the format of a question.
Yes.
Excuse me, Alex.
Right.
You're giving me the answer first here. Do I
thought I knew this game.
Yeah. But she gave me the role, and obviously we went through stuff like, yeah, you've been moderating for Halo. Have you done this and that? I'm like, yes. How do you feel about this? Hey, you do what you got to do. Everything's case by case. Apparently, I answered them right. And 30 minutes after that interview, the time it took for me to drive from Microsoft back to Seattle, go to my friend's house, tell them how it is, and my phone rings. I'm like, that's a contracting company. Pick it up, and they're like, yeah, they want to offer you the job. You'll start in a couple weeks. I'm like, ah! I'm running around, spinning, doing circles. And that was all she wrote from there. Like, it had been a wild one. I guess this will preface me into the next bit. How'd you end up doing what you're doing now? Because for me, I went from forum moderator.
Yeah.
Again, Kristen left, and then they said, we need somebody to write. I was like, well, hey, I watch Jess write stuff all the time. I feel like I can write. It's funny because I dropped out of high school because I didn't want to do Survey of British Lit. So an English class kept me from getting my degree at Blanchette. And I was like, oh, I'll write something. And I wrote something. They're like, this is great. New boss came in. She's like, have you ever done social media? I go, no. Well, here, let's learn it together. Well,
you'll be perfect.
Yeah. And then, literally that. You haven't been ruined yet. And then it was like, have you ever made video content? No. Okay, well, here's a camera. And then it turned into doing years of that, and slowly but surely I'm to the point of being on camera. So I want to know what led you to whatever it is that you do now.
I mean, well, what's funny is it's still related. Like the first role that I had, I've worked primarily for three main teams at 343 on Halo, transmedia, community, and franchise. And what's funny is in all three of those roles, there was a lot of crossover with all of the other ones, and still is, which is one of the things I love about my job day to day, is because we get to, I get to have my hands in so many different aspects creatively. But my first role was helping write and produce and curate the forward-facing online encyclopedia. They were doing a big full revamp of the website, and they were going to do stuff. We had an application called the Halo Channel, which was coming out, and they wanted to have these kind of secondary encyclopedic entries. It was kind of an interactive type thing, and then I did all of the all of the technical kind of writing and all of the the UI text and everything for that application and for a lot of the new Waypoint website. And it's exactly, I can't think of better advice than what David Ellis told you, because that's how it turned into continuing to stay there. Mm-hmm. I was on contract, different contracts for several years, initially. But it's always just trying to be useful to as many people and teams as possible, and also just genuinely wanting to help, not in a trying to game the system kind of way. I do just love working with folks and helping them out in different ways and helping be part of the process to see an awesome thing get made. And so I think if you go into it too with a good and a positive attitude and with positive intentions and assumptions about the people that you work with, hopefully that comes off in a really honest and genuine way. Because unfortunately, a lot of industries, our industry can sometimes be cutthroat in ways, and you do sometimes encounter people who well, I'm in it kind of for me and to accelerate my career. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe sometimes that's just the nature of the world in general, where everybody's really wanting to hold on to kind of whatever they can get, which is totally understandable.
Look, but it also makes there's that one guy or girl, that one person who you can't stand, and if there's nobody around, that means that you're the person that nobody can stand. So yes, I get that for sure.
Oh my gosh, I'm second guessing everything now. But yeah, so I think it's it really is just that. It's trying to be useful. My wife always tells me, she always makes fun saying well, you just kind of created your own roles and and niches, and that's true in some ways. There would be a thing hey, I really want to have this type of content be produced. Can I? Yeah, sure. Okay, and oh well, what about this? And then and then you eventually get to a point where you make yourself not irreplaceable, because no one is irreplaceable, and it's always important to remember that. But if you create needs kind of for yourself, mm-hmm. I think that helps.
You have to be and it's not just good enough. You have to be the best at what you're doing, but not irreplaceable. Because if you're irreplaceable, you can never move up. But if you're not the best at what you're doing, you can be replaced.
Yeah. Well, and I think even and it's dangerous to ever assume that you're irreplaceable too, because that's where you find out really quickly that you always are.
Oh yeah,
very fast. Especially in a huge company and in a big industry, and stuff like that. Like you have to kind of approach it with a posture of humility and knowing kind of, the role that you are playing, and yet pairing that with confidence to be like, but I know I can do this thing, and I know I can do it really well, and I've got ideas that I think will help, the larger group, people, franchise, whatever it happens to be. I mean, so really all of professional life has been an adventure kind of related, to all of that and those approaches.
That's fun.
Yeah.
It's scary.
It is scary.
Everybody's replaceable.
That's true. Really,
even
it
you
is.
that knows everything that there is to know about.
And even people like, my boss, a lot of times she will say that, like I have 3 writers and they know everything there is to know about Halo. And collectively that is mostly true, but there's a reason why there's 3 of us. There's a reason, because
that's scary to say, but it's so true.
Like we have to have people. She also says there's third one for a tiebreakers too. If we don't, if we're arguing about something, but I mean nobody's like perfect, and you have to, be able to rely on your colleagues, and it's made all of the richer by the people that you get to work with. I mean that's always what's funny is. People always ask, what's your favorite part about working in this dream job? Because it is a dream job, and it's still the people.
It's always the people.
Like it is the people. Like I get to play around in one of my absolute favorite franchise and literally make things up for a living, and yet it's still the people that I work with.
So how dare you classify that as lowly as made up?
Yeah,
that is real. That does not come from the brains.
That is fair. Depends on who you ask. Yeah. But I mean, I think that's a great kind of kickoff for what we're trying to do here. Like I said, it's kind of an excuse, and for us to talk about what we do, because in some ways, I don't know about you, I kind of like doing this as almost a time capsule for myself, like for posterity to remember and be in the moment when we're in the moment. I think it's really easy to get way down the road and then forget what those early feelings. I think it'll be nice. I know
long ago.
I know.
God, if only we did a modcast like.
Oh, we only had like a dozen or more episodes of some other venture that we'll have to dig up. But I mean, I think to speak to what you can expect from us going forward is we're not sure. We're not sure what to expect, because I know we want to talk about a lot of different things. We want to talk about like games and industry, obviously, because it's a huge part of our lives, but also just life and how life happens in and along and because of and in spite of what we do, going to work.
You know what I realized? Granted, this is episode 1. This is going to have to be one of those season opener 2-parters. Because I feel like there's still so much more to talk about in this bit.
I think we can. I think we should.
There's obviously more.
Yeah.
I would say click on episode 2,
True.
Which will be from fan to the man, part 2.
Part 2.
We'll call it that.
Yes.
And then that's a good spot for us to end this one, yeah?
That sounds good.
All right, Jeff. I'll see you in all of 30 seconds.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. And hopefully we'll see the rest of you in 30 seconds as well.